My name is Jerry James Jr.
And how long have you been on the force?
I've been employed with the Peoria Police Department. This March will actually be mark 4 years for me.
Okay, are you married?
I'm currently not married at this time. Do have a four-legged daughter named Hera. For right
Okay,
now, she's a Great Dane. So,
that's cute. So what I would like to know is why did you choose to take part in the officer
okay.
program, the
Resident
resident?
Officer Program. Bigger reasons why I decided to take this route was a lot to do with my past, which involved working in the social service field with District 150, Children's Home, Center for Prevention of Abuse. So my past work has always been kind of working with people, whether it's community, whether it's with kids to any capacity. So I figured with learning about the resident program, I felt like it was a way for me to tap back into those things I did for about 10 years, also allowing me to serve as a police officer as well. And knowing with this job, it kind of gives you that opportunity to interact a little more in depth with people and the community, kind of get a voice and see what the community wants and answer some of those needs that we can from a police standpoint and as a community standpoint as well.
What is the one thing that you really hope to do? I mean, this is a very unique job. You're kind of on call all the time.
Yes, that is correct. And the biggest thing is just to try to obviously be of service to the community for itself, to be able to give that extra in-depth attention to issues that I can address, and if not, actually provide the resources and where and how to address it. Obviously, being able to answer questions involving the Peoria Police Department, criminally or any other method that we could actually work for, and also too just some advice as far as some community services that are out there available for people, and then just some ways that we can kind of work together as a community to solve and take care of those things, and also look for proactive methods for the youth. If there's other opportunities for them out there, and kind of group all those in, and so those resources are shared and allocated to the right people.
Have you moved in yet?
Yes, I have.
So what is it like living there? I mean,
Yes, it's actually a very very nice house, big house. It's at 1839 North Wisconsin. Um, the space is a lot bigger than my apartment I moved from before. It is nice being able to have access to work right from work there. One of the biggest adjustments for me was being closer to the street so I can still hear cars come by. But I've enjoyed it for the most part. I think I've settled in quite well for the last 2 weeks since I've moved in.
so
So,
what is the biggest change from being a cop on the street to this?
the changes are actually something I think a lot of guys that are coming from patrol where I came from, you get that extra time to follow up with, concerns or complaints. And then also too, you get a chance to kind of go out and make yourself known, to get involved in the neighborhood, make yourself known to the schools, kind of meet those people. You get that extra time to actually set a time to meet with people to discuss those issues more. So I know sometimes when you're in patrol, you kind of I'd say glued to the radio where you're going from call to call, and you may, especially on the first shift to the second shift when it's really busy, sometimes you don't get that much time in a day or a shift to complete all those things. So I think with this position, it gives you that extra chance to do that, to have those longer conversations. Like I've talked a lot with other resident officers that have done this before, you get a chance to do that. And then also to kind of be creative in your sense, what's something you want to bring to the table. And for me personally, I'm really trying to get adjusted to what everybody wants in the community first before I kind of start making those decisions on programs, ideas, things that we can all come together and kind of coordinate together. So as a group.
The East Bluff has had a rough few years. Have you been out talking to folks and trying to meet them, or have you started there yet?
Yes, yes. Been with several of the different committees or groups that are within the East Bluff. Met with some of those key figures as well to kind of talk here, actually including the East Bluff Community Center. Even some of those very active citizens that do anything pretty much to volunteer their time to build up the community. So I have got a chance to meet with them. Again, just trying to start with some ideas and where we want to go from there. And then as far as just day to day, I get a call, try to follow up as soon as I can with those people, whether it's via phone. Trying to do some more interpersonal relationships. I want them to see me, so they know who I am, and it's not just, hey, we're talking on the phone. But yes, I have got a chance to do that. I've also assisted with some cases in patrol, just because I want to know what's going on in the area. Also very familiar with the districts that work in the area, so that there's transparency within what's going on, what messages I need to provide for them, what I want them to provide for me. So still using this as a team effort, even though I may be the only resident officer. Again, Peoria Police Department, we're all kind of working together, especially those guys that have worked this area, as I have in the past, whether it be third shift or first shift. So,
how do you plan to connect with the community that, especially some parts of it, have a distrust of the police?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing with any successful communication, some of us probably struggle, is just to listen. And that, again, listening, kind of requires you to leave out any selective thoughts of any sort, but just to take in what is the concern, sit back and think on it. And then also, what can we do? And also provide people what they can do too, because I think it should be an open door. It shouldn't be just, hey, you do this, this is how you do it. It should be, here's the resources for that. I feel as though there's plenty of resources out there, but sometimes the message doesn't get spread across. So if there's some way or system we can just connect all of it, so we can say, hey, yeah, we have this problem, we got this thing we can use, whether it's for kids, whether it's for, people in need. And there's plenty of it here that I'm starting to learn about. I think that breaks that barrier there, because I think sometimes as a police officer, when you go to a situation that's not so good, it's probably not the best time to have that communication. So my goal is to have that communication, not just on a call or response to someone's bad situation, or negative situation, but to do the proactive part of, hey, nothing's going on, here's who I am, what would you like to see with the police? What are some questions? What are some transparencies we need to clear? So been very open to do that. And again, I'm going to encourage the community to do so as well.
Did you get any advice from Hightower, who obviously was really fun?
Yes, I did. And just to say, those were very big shoes to fill, as I found out going to his going away party. So I'm going to rely on him a lot just to get the trust from that and use some of his ideas to build upon. But really, he told me, just kind of, trust yourself and be yourself on things. What are you most comfortable with? Based on my background, I know I mentioned before I did some work with 150. It had a big emphasis on coaching and sports. Is that something I like? Absolutely. Is that everything I'm doing? No. I want to kind of keep it diverse. So he pretty much said, hey, take this how you want to. Any questions, you're more than welcome to call them. So I'm sure I'll be utilizing that a lot early on. So
going off of that, unfortunately, a lot of the violence that we've seen across Peoria, not even just the East Bluff, we're seeing a lot more, it seems, youth-on-youth violence.
Correct.
And people often say, in order to help stop that, you got to, get to the root, get to the home. Kind of how do you plan to help with that initiative?
Okay. Well, getting to the heart of home, understanding each situation is going to be different. One thing I can say in my past experience of working with youth is that I feel like you guys may agree that with youth, there's still a chance, meaning there's still some chance for direction. They still may listen, even if they're not listening all the time. I know as adults, sometimes we may feel as though we know everything already, we've lived. So I still feel like there is a chance with those things, but again, it's going to have to be embedded with any support they have, whether it's family, whether it's one person in their family, or whether it's maybe not family, maybe it's coach, maybe it's cousin, maybe it's just father-like figure. But knowing those key figures, as I've met at least one I know for sure here in this community, I think having those people around will really help get those people to gravitate through them to me, and vice versa, however we see fit. So, but I do think it is something that, and it's got to be a joint effort. It can't just be one organization or the other. It's got to be everybody. We're a team. No one's better than the other. We can work this out.
So what did you do at the 150?
Oh, okay. For District 150, I first actually left college and started off as a substitute teacher.
You guys speak up.
I'm sorry, start off as a substitute teacher for 150.
Okay.
And with doing that, I actually ended up at Roosevelt School was my first school. They kind of got me into a position. It was a character development, kind of mentoring, working on social emotional skills with kids, well, I'd say K through 8, what the school was. So being there, I was actually there for at least about 3 years. And then actually 3 to 4 years, stayed with that program until I believe it was discontinued just through funds. It was through the U of I Extension Office. So did that for a while, also while coaching there. I coached Richwoods High School football and track. again, it was a school I went to or graduated from, so I ended up getting a chance to go back and give back to those youth, and also, teach football skills and also personal development skills. Moving from that, went to the Center for Prevention of Abuse, went as a prevention educator, which required me to go to schools to talk, basically prevention skills for bullying, anti-bullying programs we had, character development, mentorship, even also working with the adult end of domestic battery situations, let's say the perpetrators of that situation. Leaving that, moved on to the children's home, where I worked for a program called Redeploy. I don't know that it's still active, but basically I've worked
Yes,
with youth.
yes.
Okay. So with that, we'd work with the youth when they were basically on the verge of juvenile, I'd say penitentiary system, either kicked out of school or on the verge of it, or just not in school, or just some that really struggled in school, but had the skills they needed, just were looking for a job. So with that, it was kind of we would check in and out with them. Many were on probation, so worked hand in hand with the juvenile probation department, just kind of making sure that line of communication was there and they were doing the right things they needed. And each situation was different. It wasn't really a set program. Each person had a family, a situation, and a thing that worked for them. So with that, it gave me a chance to kind of go out, do home visits in the community with them, check with them in school, any big dates they had, court dates, any such thing we would basically address.
And then you became a cop.
Yes, I did. One thing I always feel like I wanted to do, I feel like there was another method or way to reach the community. I felt like, those other jobs are great. They're great stepping stones for me. There are ways to do it. But, I asked myself, as a police officer, learning about community policing, how do you tie all this into it? And getting on a job, I actually saw how fun this can be. Yes, we have a job to, be there in someone's bad situation or crisis. However, in this position, you can actually do a lot more, and that's a proactive role. I do like interacting with people. I always have, kind of always wanted to do something like that. Knowing just working with kids, they have a bad day. Tomorrow's a new day. It's not something that you just linger with, forever. So with being a police officer, yeah, I like the fact the job's it's a variety. It's always ever changing, it's ever going, and you got to evolve with everything. And I think, truthfully, in all this said and done, sometimes just the method of communication, the way you present yourself can go a long way. So that's one of the things that's exciting about this job. I mean, it's so many different ways to do this job. I learned from my training officers. It was, they'd say there's 100 ways to do this job. Just figure out the right one, the way you want to do it. And I like that because then it lets me fit to my personality, the way I handle things.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.